The Way Back is a movie that feels as if it's two movies melded into one. It has a very strong first two acts that unravels a bit in the third. The Way Back is directed by Gavin O'Connor and stars Ben Affleck, and to me, the story itself just feels a little bit overstuffed. The whole film tries to tackle way too many things in its own runtime. I think at the end of the second act, if things had been moved around and certain ideas or story beats that's been sprinkled throughout the entire film, aside from Ben Affleck's character going to the rehab, which I think works perfectly in the third act, the film as a whole would have a better structure. The front half almost feels like it doesn't have that much to do, and the third act is rushed so unnecessarily when things could have been dropped throughout the film or topics throughout the entire thing. Things that they try to tackle in the third act feel out of place and random and as if the writers forgot to bring it up in the first act. A lot of things they bring up come up in the second act or the third act, and if things had been sprinkled or done throughout the first two acts to have a payoff in the third one, I think it would have worked much more. The film still works. It's still done well. It's still a decent movie. But story wise, I think that if the third act had been parceled throughout the first two and had a little bit more flesh to it and was explained a little bit more or just seen on screen a little bit more, I think as a whole, the entire film would have come across better. It still come across well, and the message that they tried to present still works. I just feel that due to some pacing problems that extend the film a little bit too long, and a second act that really feels and is edited to look like the end of the film, it could have worked a lot better. As for the directing, I found a lot of the framing and composition to be amateurish at times, but I think for what the film is trying to do, it works. But the scenes during the basketball game feel choppy and claustrophobic, but then again, that's not what the film is exclusively about, so I can't really knock them for that. Plus, I don't know much of this director. That might not be his forte, directing fast-paced action scenes for sporting games, and to be fair, I can't really think of very many movies that have done scenes like that well. The story, like I said, is overstuffed, but it still works. It works to show Affleck and the team's redemption. And the script I found surprisingly funny, which was something I was absolutely not expecting. And I liked Affleck in this. I feel like roles like this fit him very well, and I would like to see him in more things like this. It feels almost refreshing to see Ben Affleck back to doing something that makes sense for him. In the end, I really don't have that much to say about this movie. I wish I had more. It works, it's done well, and I thoroughly enjoyed the first two acts of it. What it does and what it has to say has validity to it, but with every film, there's things that can be reworked to better suit the story and its runtime. 7.2 out of 10.